And the one thing that people always want to see is they always want to see us. And if the only requirement to getting in the top 3% of the last fiscal quarter of app builders is to... Hello, welcome to the Roy Lee Show. In the past 12 months, I have scaled 2 companies to 2 software products to well over $100,000 a month each. Pretty much exactly this time 1 year ago, I launched my first software product, Interview Coder. Well, my first successful software product, Interview Coder, and that ended up doing, at its best, over $250,000 a month. Currently, is still doing well over $140,000 per month. Immediately, within 3 months of starting Interview Coder, actually, I immediately took my learnings and started another software product, Cluely, loosely based off the technology of Interview Coder, and I then subsequently scaled that to, within its first month, doing $100,000, and every month after doing well over that. In this video, I'm going to teach you all how to build and market an app that does over $100,000 a month organically, and show you that it really isn't that hard, and you're probably doing a lot of wrong things. Step 1 is finding the right idea. This is where I actually disagree with most contemporary thought leaders, and I actually think most people get the idea generation part of company building wrong. There's essentially 2 schools of thought when coming up with ideas for your startups. The first is you should try and come up with something net new that will change the world, you know, like some new insight that you have. Build something new in the area. Don't try to copy everyone else. And the second school of thought is copy the guys who are most successful, because odds are very likely that, you know, like ideas mean nothing, execution means everything. So instead of trying to come up with something net new, just try and copy the people who are actually working. And to this, I would actually say, you know, I actually have experience doing both of these things exactly. My first startup, Interview Coder, was completely net new, generally net new technology. It was a net new user experience, and it was a completely different type of tool. Prior to this, mainstream cheating tools for interviews using AI didn't really exist, and I was kind of the first pioneer to really start something like that. And my second tool, Cluely, is in one of the most crowded spaces ever. It's an AI note taker. So I have experience both copying the people that work, and I also have experience building successful products where I just decided to build something net new. Much more importantly than what your idea is, the most important thing is to make sure that your idea is quickly testable. This is something that I think pretty much every college student gets wrong when trying to come up with startup ideas. Every single person that I've actually talked to who is interested in being an entrepreneur but has not actually gotten far along on the journey has the same problem, that they want people to not judge them for their startup being cringe or easy or stupid. Nobody wants to be the guy saying, yo, I'm building an alarm app. How can I scale my alarm app? Everyone wants to be the guy saying, yo, I'm building this foundational model for fucking doctors, and we're gonna solve cancer, or we're gonna solve this aggregate, like extremely niche agricultural problem. Everyone wants to be involved in doing something cool. So people will pick these very niche ideas that they know a very little about, pick these impossibly hard, impossibly specific, impossibly weird to understand, difficult to understand problems, because they want to hide behind the shield of, oh, I'm doing something interesting, and the reason why you don't understand that it's very simple, the reason why you don't really understand is because it's so hard, it's so beyond your knowledge, and I'm just such a smart guy. And this is the easiest trap to fall for. In fact, like the last startup I was working on before Interview Coder was a startup called Drink Inc. And it was supposed to be a map, a data visualizing map that was supposed to find for liquor providers in New York City all the new restaurants that were opening up that they could sell their liquor to. So if I'm selling beer, then here's all the restaurants that are opening up that I might want to sell beer to. And that is such a niche, random, specific, hyper-specific problem that I just thought it'd be cool to tell people, yeah, like I'm doing this fucking like liquor procurement data visualization software, and it's like super cool and tough. And that's just the worst type of thing to do. It's very difficult to validate your idea in such a tight, specific niche market. It's very difficult to actually build a thing because you don't really know who you're building for, but it is cool to tell people, you know, you're doing something very interesting and very net new. You can almost always brute force your way to success if you just keep throwing enough shit on the wall. It doesn't really matter what kind of shit you're throwing on the wall. It just matters that you keep throwing shit on the wall, because the number one reason that companies fail, truly the number one reason why there aren't a million college millionaires from software apps, is because most people just don't get to throw enough shit on the wall. They don't try enough things at all. The first idea that anyone ever has is always some very niche, very specific, very weird idea, and almost nobody wants to go out and say, fuck it, I'm building alarm apps and I'm just gonna try and market them via ads. It's just an uncool thing to do. So I would say, whether you're trying to build something net new, whether you actually have some insane knowledge, you know, you grew up like fucking trading Pokemon cards and you've got this like insane knowledge about Pokemon cards that you think you can build a company around, whether you're doing that or whether you're just copying products that already exist, just make sure you're doing something that you can test very quickly. And the reason the title says in 2 months is because you do not want to, you never want it to take more than 2 weeks to a month to build a very first initial MVP prototype of your product. If it's taking more than 2 weeks to a month, then honestly, you just need to pick something else, because it takes that takes way too much time for you to actually be convinced. And this advice I would not recommend this advice for someone like a second-time founder or third-time founder who's gone through the hall. They understand what's to be expected, you know, roughly. They have a better idea of what's to be expected at the end of the tunnel. They already have the win, you know. They understand that if I just keep hauling at this thing, you know, eventually the shit might actually stick. Most people do not realize that they even have the chance of building a successful company. They don't realize that they can actually make $1 online from their software. So the very first thing you need to do is extremely quickly try and get something out there with your name on it that you can sell. Because odds are the most likely scenario is that you watch this video, you get inspired. In fact, that's not even the most likely scenario. The most likely scenario is that most of y'all are gonna watch this video in the shower and then fucking never build anything. The second most likely scenario is that you guys are going to try to build something and then quit before it's deployed. And the third most likely scenario is that you guys actually get to building a very simple product, get out to market, and then can never fucking market it. So pick an idea that is very simple. Keep throwing shit at the wall. The only time your shit is not going to stick to the wall is when you genuinely just stop throwing shit on the wall. Step 2, how do you validate an idea? I think most people really suffer from getting their app out and then getting it to their first 100 customers. Most people are just completely unable to do this. In fact, in the last 3 months, there were 24,000 new subscription-based apps that were published to the App Store, the iOS App Store, and of them, only 700 made over $100 in gross revenue. 700. That's less than 3% of all the apps that were published ever got 100 people to pay $1 for their app. There's a bunch of builders out there who spend all this time, you know, like working hard to get their app deployed and onto the App Store, but they don't actually make any money. And the reason is because, again, it's actually the exact same problem as problem number one, as the problem for step number one. The problem is that people don't want to actually tell anybody what they're doing. You know, everyone wants to be building a stealth startup, you know, like building in silence and not be loud online. And, oh, I don't want to be an influencer. I'm just going to be this secret startup founder and I'm going to actually be doing this super tough thing. And, you know, like let's face it, bro, like you're not fucking Peter Thiel, like relax. Everyone knows about 100 people, whether they're your friends, whether they're your ops, whether they're your fucking professors, your family, everyone knows 100 people. And if the only requirement to getting in the top 3% of the last fiscal quarter of app builders is to talk to 100 people, call up 100 people and say, hey, will you pay for my app? It costs $1, then it actually is very easy to get in the top 3%. Pretty much the only advice I have for truly validating an idea, because you don't really need that many people to validate an idea. You know, you maybe just need like 100 people to try it before you realize like, hey, people like this shit, or hey, people don't like this shit. Assuming, of course, that your idea is very simple. So how do you get 100 people? You just use your network. The first 100 customers is very easy. The first 100 customers are always, they should really just be people that you know. Exhaust your social network. The problem with most college students and most people watching is that you guys have never ever even posted on your Instagram, hey, I built this thing, will you go check it out? Because most people are just way too fucking scared to do that. The reason why this step is validating your idea and not marketing your idea is because the validation step is often the most important step. It is the step that will tell you, should I keep trying to pursue this very simple idea? Is there even a particle of poop that has, of shit that is sticked onto the wall? Is there even any sort of promise in here? Or should I just fucking abandon the idea at all? And it is very easy to validate as long as you can get over the fear of social judgment. And in every single video of mine, I'm always talking about social judgment because that is the single blocker for A, coming up with a simple idea, and B, executing on the idea and validating it. Genuinely, if you can just stop worrying about what your friends think about you, how gay your friends think you are for building a fucking alarm app or fucking recipe app or fucking calorie tracking app, like no matter how gay your friends are gonna think that you are, there's nothing gayer than being a broke loser at 35. So please just try and fucking get over the fact that people are going to judge you. Put your work out there, and if you can do that, you can put your work out there and put your name beside something that is very simple, that you don't think will get a lot of credit, you know, that people aren't gonna think you're a fucking genius for building, then you can actually have, one, a simple idea that is out to the App Store, and two, validation from 100 people that you know. So that is step number 2, validating your idea. Actually building an app is actually really simple nowadays. There is this gigantic secret in the tech space that nobody outside of the tech space seems to know about, and that secret is Claude Opus 4.5. If you Google Claude Opus 4.5, it is the latest coding model by Anthropic, and this model is giga fucking good. You can, with this model, build pretty much whatever you want. If you just Google Claude Code, install Claude Code, and try and spend the 2 minutes trying to get it working on your computer, you can literally pretty much just ask it anything that is just shy of, can you build me Uber? And it will just fucking work. And there's so many startups here that are like that are built off this technology, that are relatively similar implementations of this technology. If you don't want to set up Claude Code on your computer, you can go to lovable.dev, you can go to Rourke, you can go to like pretty much any of these new AI vibe coding startups, and you can literally just, by typing things in English, build apps, build websites, build things, and they will implement payment for you. They'll implement authentication for you. It is literally one of the easiest things in the world right now to build an app. And it is so important that you tap into this right fucking now. Once the rest of the world taps into how easy it is going to be, then this is going to be like the fucking Amazon dropshipping of 2026. You know, like once everyone figures it out, it's not going to be a secret anymore, and there will be no more money to be made in these like very easy to build apps. You really don't have much time, but it really is just that easy. Go to lovable.dev, go to Google Cloud Code, go to work.com. There's so many places you can go where it's really simple just to type something and fucking build an app. Okay, moving on, because I think this is actually the most uninteresting part of the video. Finally, this is arguably the most difficult step, but also the step that I think I know the most about, which is marketing your product organically. I say organically because what organic marketing is marketing that you don't actually spend any money on. You know, you don't pay for the impressions, you don't pay for views, it's not paid ads, it's not anything. Just how can I just naturally go viral on my own? I would say that this is a pretty difficult thing to actually tap into. It requires a lot of things to go right, and there's a lot of ways to actually organically go viral. But if you can, then this will actually be a fucking printer for you. It's what resulted in my first startup making all that money, millions to date now, and still every single month hundreds of thousands of dollars, and has pretty much been like the sole driver of growth for my second startup. I've done this a couple ways. I'll make a much longer video on this later because I feel like this is something that I know truly a lot about. Prerequisite things that I think you should acknowledge. First, understand that organic does scale, but it does not scale infinitely. If you actually want to make $100 million a month or fucking billions of dollars and you want to build a gigantic business, you must find other levers of growth. You cannot solely rely, you can almost never solely rely on organic marketing. But the actual ceiling that organic marketing can hit is much higher than almost anyone out there gives it credit for. Most people will say, most of the people who are like ad gurus or like fucking marketing gurus on the internet will say, once you hit 10K a month, then you have to switch off organic marketing and you have to kind of just enter paid ads, but it is just not true. But understand that it is not true. You can actually achieve generational wealth through simply organic marketing. Simply by going viral, you can achieve organic generational wealth. Now, the two most biggest ways of success that I found with organic marketing has been one, scenario-based marketing, and two, UGC. These are pretty specific things, so I'll dive into both of them here. So I guess this is subpoint 3A. Subpoint 3A is scenario-based marketing. When you first start making content, you know, you can do all this work studying hooks, studying fucking like random bullshit like, yo, engagement, retention, like how do I keep people on? You can like treat it as a form of study, but in reality, there's one method of going organically viral that almost never fails, and that method is the method of causing a scene, you know, causing havoc, causing like some interesting story. Because when you have an interesting story, then other people will post for you. Other people who have done the work of like fucking figuring out how to do hooks and retention, like they'll post for you. And the one thing that people always want to see is they always want to see a story. A story has better hook. Like a genuinely, truly interesting story is a better hook than any fucking random like fucking like talking to the camera like, oh my god, here's like fucking dance that you could do. Like none of that shit beats a genuinely interesting story. For me, my story was getting kicked out of Columbia. This is something that I'm notoriously famous for in the tech community. Essentially, I used my first product, Interview Cutter, which as you'll recall is a cheating tool for technical interviews. I used it to cheat on a technical interview for Amazon. I then recorded the whole thing for about an hour-long interview where I just used my own tool. I aced the interview, I got the offer, I uploaded it online, got about 100,000 views because again, that in itself is a story. Like what kid would actually record their interview, post it online, knowing that guaranteed you're going to get blacklisted from big tech? That already was big news, but immediately after that, Amazon executives saw the video. They then reported me to Columbia, the school that I was attending. It was my sophomore year at the time. They told the school, hey, this kid is caught cheating using this tool that he built, and oh my, OMG, he's fucking selling the tool. This is horrendous. You need to expel this kid or we are never going to hire from your school again. Essentially saying something to that extent. And Columbia then responds with sending me to a disciplinary hearing and eventually suspending me. The whole time I'm posting this. And you have to imagine, you know, like this might seem like a relatively interesting story verbally, but at the time, you know, like historically, I don't know that anyone has ever done this, that anyone has ever intentionally gotten kicked out of an Ivy League, posted about the entire story on Twitter for the sake of marketing their startup and making a couple bucks online. That has never happened before. And when people see an interesting story that has never happened before, they want to talk about it, they want to share it. It's the easiest thing in the world to go viral for creating an interesting story. Like these interesting stories are always going to be present on your feed, and you don't have to worry at all about how to make a viral story viral because the story will do the job for you. So if you are able to really think about the cards that you have and really think about what is the most interesting story that I can come up with, because if you do that, you don't have to study retention, you don't have to study hooks, you don't have to study any of that shit. Just share your story and make sure that you are doing the work for an interesting story. As an additional point, my Amazon interview, the full uncut cut video that got, hundreds of thousands of views very, very quickly and was on track to probably get 1 million views on YouTube. That was an hour-long, unedited video, zero hooks, zero nothing. Me sitting in front of a computer, the camera's at a very, very weird angle. You can hardly see what's on my screen, and it's literally just me talking to a guy, and it's like my Amazon interview. Like, there's nothing in the title that is particularly engaging. There's nothing about that is engaging at all, except the sheer fact that, wow, this is an interesting video of an interesting story. And it was a fucking hour long. It was like an hour and 20-minute long video. When is the last time you sat down and watched an hour and 20-minute long YouTube video? You've never done that. The only reason you would ever do that is not for some engagement bait, not for some clickbait. It's genuinely just because I need to fucking see the story. So think about what is the most interesting story you can conjure about your startup, make it about your startup, and try and get that story to go viral. If you can genuinely do that and you can genuinely have something interesting, then, there's your hack to virality. Second thing that I've done successfully to scale a startup of mine was the UGC program that we used to run for Cluely. So specifically, UGC is user-generated content. User-generated content is where you tell a bunch of people, hey, can you go post this stuff online? Like here's some scripts that we think will be very viral ads. We'll come up with some scripts. Can you guys just talk to the camera, do the script, and share the story about our product? And this works a lot better than everything I could have done on my old page. My single page, the I'm Royally Twitter account, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, all of my own organic things that I tried, these are very hard to scale for the sole reason that there's only one account. There's only so many impressions that you can get on a single account. Even if every video goes super viral on Twitter and I'm getting 2 million views on every single video, ultimately I'm only getting 2 million views. The thing about content is that once you have something that works, it will likely work again. Think to yourself, how many times have I seen the same Reddit story over fucking like Minecraft parkour? How many times have you seen that? How many times will you just continue to watch that? People don't watch viral things once, like the whole dead internet theory is based on the fact that nothing in the internet is new and everything is just rinsed and repeated off each other. And this is actually very true. People will watch the same video over and over and over again. So when you do have something like a viral story, a viral hook, a viral moment, a viral thing that you've captured, then your best interest, the way to scale that is, one of two ways. You can either dump a bunch of money into ads for it, or you can have other people share the story. This is the reason why clipping works. This is the reason why Andrew Tate became so viral, is because he didn't just have one Andrew Tate account that could get banned at any moment. He had thousands of people post the same viral clips on his page. How many times have you seen the same fucking Andrew Tate clip over and over and over again? Like 100 times. Once you figure out one thing, one thing times 100 is much better than a single thing that is worth 50 points. My other tip for, I guess, virality is, sort of the same tip I have about finding the app idea, which is throw a bunch of shit against the wall, or, like pick a really promising sticky pile of shit and throw that giant thing against the wall. And actually, I've tried myself so much shit throwing that I feel like I should share with y'all. So when I built my first product, Interview Coder, I built it and I pretty much spent, after I got a sort of working version of it, I pretty much spent a lot of time just mindlessly trying to market it. Here are all the things that I tried. First, I tried to market organically on LinkedIn. This is when I made my first demo, and I'm going to shit you not, before I made my first post, I literally spent 2 full days, 8 hours a day, like debating with my co-founder, Neil, are we going to post this thing on our LinkedIn? And we literally went through the pros and cons, we had to take water breaks, we had to take food breaks, because we spent the entire fucking day talking, debating, are we going to post this on our LinkedIn? All that before my first LinkedIn post, and it fucking flopped, by the way. After it flopped, I just kept going. Once we had gotten that initial post, an initial hump of posting on my LinkedIn, I posted about 10 more times, and on my 10th post, roughly, like it went pretty viral, and it got a couple 100,000 views, and I thought, oh fuck, there actually is something here. But immediately, pretty much, my LinkedIn account got banned. So at this point, I thought, like fuck it, let me just try to do Instagram while I try to get my LinkedIn account back. So I'm emailing LinkedIn support, and on Instagram now, I'm trying to tap into like fucking like clipping and UGC, and I'm making my own UGC for this thing. And at one point, I want to hire some interns, so I, using the measly funds that I made from Interview Coder, use all the money to pay a couple interns some money in order for them to make clips of their own and just keep spamming the fuck out of this Interview Coder page. At one point, and honestly, like almost every single post flops. We have one post that did kind of well, but the Instagram is still sitting at like a fucking 1,000 followers. So the page not do well by any means. While I'm doing this, I'm also trying to figure out cold email outreach. So I go and I scrape like literally tens of thousands of emails from student emails in different colleges. I run a cold email bot trying to tell them like, hey, you can use my tool for your next interview. Doesn't really work that well either. There's not really high conversion to sales. So fuck it, go next. I try to do this affiliate marketing thing where I then reach out on LinkedIn to a bunch of CS Club founders, admins, and I tell all of them like, yo, you guys need to fucking like, can you please market my app? Like I'll give you guys 30% of the profit that I make from this app if you guys just get the word out to your CS clubs. That also doesn't work. At this point, I've tried LinkedIn twice, I've tried Instagram, I've tried the interns, I've tried cold email outreach, I've tried pretty much everything I could think of. I just decide, fuck it, let me try influencer marketing. So what I do is I have about $3,000 in my account, and I use the entirety of the $3,000 to send to this one CS YouTuber who ends up making a YouTube video about it. The video does not do that well. It gets like 16,000 views. It's uploaded to YouTube, and by some miracle, one guy who is giga famous on Twitter actually sees the video. He posts about it on his own Twitter. That post goes hella viral, and then I'm able to claim credit. I make my own post saying, hey, I'm the guy behind this, please support my project. And that ends up making me pretty much the most viral kid on tech Twitter. And that fucking sky rolls. All this to say, you know, like everything started from me being able to take shit. You must realize at one point I was in the position of, you know, like getting blacklisted from all of big tech. You know, my Amazon internship offer got rescinded. My Meta internship offer got rescinded. Capital One, like you fucking TikTok, you fucking name it. All these internship offers get rescinded. They no longer want me to work there. I'm about to be jobless. I'm about to be schoolless. And this whole time people think I'm making a fuck ton of money. I'm not. I'm making very little money. And all the money I have is going back into the product to try and fucking giga-pray. Like, please, high roll me. Please, like, let me get lucky so that I can make some fucking money and not fucking die on the street. And it worked. It worked because in life, when you keep fucking throwing shit at the wall, something will stick eventually. It is an inevitability that when you keep throwing shit at the wall, something will stick. You will notice as well that all of these things go back to an initial lack of fear of social judgment. If I were worried about people judging me, then I wouldn't. And like another thing I did, fucking put up a bunch of billboards all over fucking Columbia campus. Another thing I did, drive over to Georgia Tech and fly over to Georgia Tech and put a bunch of flyers on the Georgia Tech campus because I knew there was a lot of CS kids there. If I were worried about social judgment, I wouldn't be able to do any of these things. And sure, most of them were useless, but the things that were not useless were the things that actually worked, you know? And I wouldn't have gotten to the things that worked had I not just kept trying for the things that didn't work. Just keep trying shit because you never know what's gonna work. And the only thing you do know is if you keep trying shit, eventually something will work. I think there's a lot more about organic marketing that I can share, but generally these are the two most generalizable, broadly applicable things that I genuinely think anyone who's building apps can employ on their own. And if you actually do this successfully enough, you'll realize these things scale. And until they stop scaling, you can just keep printing off them. You can keep printing, you can keep sharing the same story over and over and over again. Even though you think it's cringe, you can just keep fucking talking about it. You can keep using the same viral hooks over and over and over again until it runs out. And eventually, once you get to the end of this, you'll realize at one point, you wake up, holy fuck, I'm making $100,000 a month. The gap between 0 to 100K is really not that much. And you don't even need 100K for that to be life-changing money. You only need maybe 5K before you're able to fuck off to Bali. Come up with a bunch of simple ideas, test them quickly, utilize your social capital to try and get your first 100 users. And once you do, spam the fuck out of organic in order to find something that is viral and repeatable. And that, my friends, is how you get to $100,000 a month off strictly organic marketing, building AI apps. Thank you, and I will see you guys all in the next episode. Perhaps I will do a much deeper dive into this whole marketing thing.